The Dropa Discs, Secret of the Visitors from the Stars. Deep in the mountains of China, where the wind whispers through the caves like lost voices from another time, there lies a secret. A secret carved into stone, older than any empire, older than the Great Wall itself. It tells a story not of kings or warriors, but of something far stranger. Something not of this earth. This is the mystery of the Dropa people and their strange, whispering discs. It all began in 1938. An expedition of Chinese archaeologists, led by Professor Chiputi from Beijing University, trekked into the Biancarola Mountains, near the border between Tibet and China. They were searching for evidence of ancient cultures, perhaps primitive cave dwellers, but what they found defied every expectation. Inside a hidden cave, they stumbled upon something that felt wrong. The walls were smooth, almost polished, as if shaped by hands or tools, thousands of years ahead of their time. And on those walls, there were carvings, not of animals or spears, but of stars, suns, and patterns that resembled planets orbiting each other. The deeper they went, the stranger it became. They found tombs, small ones, far smaller than those of ordinary humans. Inside were skeletons, frail, delicate, with unusually large skulls and thin, fragile limbs. The faces, if one could call them that, seemed alien. Wide-eye sockets, tiny jaws, and elongated craniums, as if they had been built to house a mind far larger than ours. Professor Chi's team was baffled. No known tribe in the region matched these features. The skeletons measured just over a meter tall. Too short for modern humans, and yet too advanced to be primitive. But the real mystery came when they found the discs. In a chamber at the back of the cave, half buried in dust and stone, they uncovered over 700 stone discs, each about 30 centimeters across, perfectly round, with a hole in the center. At first glance, they looked like old phonograph records, but carved from hard granite mixed with cobalt, a material nearly impossible to shape with primitive tools. Each disc had a spiral groove carved into its surface, winding outward from the center, as if meant to be read like a record. And within those grooves were tiny symbols, so small that only magnification revealed them. Thousands of microscopic hieroglyph-like marks, carved with stunning precision. The archaeologists didn't know what to make of it. But when scientists later examined the discs, something extraordinary was discovered. The grooves carried traces of electric charge, as if they'd once been exposed to a magnetic field. Some researchers even claimed they emitted a faint hum, a vibration that could be felt, but barely heard. Like the whisper of a machine remembering its purpose. These were later called the Dropa discs, and they would soon become one of archaeology's greatest enigmas. For decades, no one could decipher the strange inscriptions. Then, in the 1960s, a Chinese scientist named Dr. Tom Nui from the Beijing Academy of Sciences claimed to have cracked the code. His translation stunned the scientific world. According to Dr. Tom, the discs told a story. A story written not by ancient humans, but by visitors. Beings from another world. A world that, they said, had crashed onto Earth thousands of years ago. They called themselves the Dropa. The inscriptions describe how their spacecraft had fallen from the sky during a mission of exploration. It was crippled by lightning and crashed into the mountains. Unable to repair their ship, the Dropa sought refuge in the caves, where they were eventually met by local tribes. But the tribes feared them. The Dropa were small, with pale, almost translucent skin, large as adapted to dim starlight, and delicate limbs. They were unlike anything the locals had ever seen. conflict erupted. Many of the Dropa were killed. The survivors wrote their story on the stone discs, their only legacy. If the story is true, who or what were these beings? Descriptions gathered from the discs and the skeletal remains paint a haunting picture. They were small, barely over a meter tall, but their heads were enormous, their eyes almond-shaped and golden, with irises that shimmered like the surface of water. Their skin was thin, almost translucent, revealing faint blue veins beneath. Their mouths were narrow, their noses flat, designed not for speech or smell, but perhaps for breathing in thin, alien air. Their bones were light, bird-like, built for lesser gravity. They were, by every measure, creatures of another world, fragile on Earth's heavy terrain, their bodies unfit for our gravity and dense atmosphere. And yet they had come here, across impossible distances, long before humanity had even learned to shape iron. Dr. Tsommam Nui's research was quickly suppressed. The Chinese government dismissed his translation as fiction, and his work mysteriously disappeared from public archives. He fled the country and, according to rumor, died in exile. Many of the Dropa discs were said to have vanished as well, locked away in museum basements or quietly destroyed. But a few were allegedly smuggled out. In the 1970s, Ernst Wigara, an Austrian engineer visiting China, claimed to have seen two of them in a museum in Xi'an. He described the discs as slightly bluish stone, with deep spiral grooves, exactly as the reports had said. When he tried to photograph them, the curator grew nervous and told him, "Many things in China are not meant for foreigners." Soon after, those discs too disappeared. Some researchers have noted eerie similarities between the Dropa story and legends from around the world. Tibetan monks speak of small, pale visitors from the stars, who came down in glowing craft and taught humans how to live in harmony. In South America, ancient carvings depict tiny star beings with large heads and slanted eyes. Even the Dogon tribe of Africa tells of visitors from Sirius who shared cosmic knowledge thousands of years ago. Could the Dropa have been part of a greater phenomenon? An ancient wave of star travelers visiting early humanity? And if so, what became of them? Did they die there, entombed in the mountains? Or did they, as some whisper, survive, blending quietly into the local people, their descendants walking among us even now, forgotten, but not gone? In recent years, no physical Dropa disc has ever been publicly authenticated. No lab holds samples for testing. The caves of Bancarola remain off-limits to outsiders, sealed by the government. Satellite images show unusual formations, but nothing conclusive. And yet, some explorers who ventured near the region claimed to hear a low hum beneath the earth, like something metallic, still alive, buried deep within the mountain. Was it the Dropa ship? A beacon waiting to be awakened? Or simply the wind echoing through forgotten tombs? No one knows. Maybe the Dropa were real. Maybe they were only a story, a warning carved in stone, passed down through myth and fear. But there's something haunting about the idea that, long before we looked up at the stars, someone, or something, was already looking down at us. Perhaps the Dropa never left. Perhaps they became part of us, our ancestors, our myths, our shadows. And maybe, on quiet nights, when the sky burns with 1,000 stars, they are still watching, waiting for the day we finally remember their message carved in stone. We came from the clouds, and we will return when the time is right. Thank you for joining me tonight on Mysteries from the Orb. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more tales from the edge of the unknown. And remember, the truth, might just be written in stone.